I'm really excited for this new beginning and to build something from the ground up here with the Valkyries.
As the WNBA undergoes its first expansion in nearly 20 years, the Golden State Valkyries step onto the scene, poised to make a significant impact. Kate Martin makes her much-anticipated return to the court, now proudly wearing the new franchise's jersey and shouldering immense expectations. Unfortunately, A'ja Wilson is displeased with this development and appears to hold resentment toward Kate, viewing her actions as a betrayal.
Yeah, honestly, my focus has just been getting better. I mean, all around. I had a decent rookie season, but I just know something that's really cool about me is that my ceiling is very high.
Meanwhile, reigning MVP A'ja Wilson is feeling increasing pressure as she watches rivals and newcomers aggressively enhance their game. With Caitlin Clark already emerging as the next major star, brace yourself for a season that promises a true transformation on the court. Envision the scenario after many years without a significant shift. The WNBA is finally undergoing a substantial expansion. The last time something of this magnitude occurred was nearly 2 decades ago, and now the Golden State Valkyries are stepping into the league with all the fanfare and excitement.
I have a lot of room to grow. Always working on my shot, always working on being quicker, but
behind the scenes, analysts, players, and fans were restless, eagerly speculating about the names selected in the WNBA expansion draft. Amid corridor whispers, leaked information, and bold assumptions, one name stood out: Kate Martin, officially chosen by the Golden State Valkyries. Her acquisition is poised to shift the league's power dynamics, directly impacting established stars like current MVP A'ja Wilson. With the Valkyries entering the league amidst the first major expansion in nearly 2 decades, Kate Martin becomes a central figure for the ambitious new franchise. Her presence not only energizes the already massive fan base, but also signifies the Valkyries' intent to make a significant mark. This move heightens the competition for A'ja Wilson, who now faces intensified pressure from new teams, emerging talents, and the rising star Caitlin Clark, who is quickly becoming a top contender for the MVP title. The upcoming season is set to be transformative, with the WNBA experiencing a true revolution on the court. The Golden State Valkyries, backed by Kate Martin, are ready to challenge the status quo, while the Indiana Fever are meticulously rebuilding to reclaim their prominence. This creates a multifaceted threat landscape for Wilson and the Las Vegas Aces as they navigate not only traditional rivals, but also fresh talent eager to ascend. Caitlin Clark's emergence adds another layer of excitement and tension. Her offensive prowess, court vision, and magnetic personality position her as a formidable rival to Wilson, potentially leading to a fierce MVP showdown. Meanwhile, the Indiana Fever, despite losing some players in the expansion draft, are strategically assembling a team hungry for victory, ensuring that the competition remains fierce and unpredictable. As the WNBA grows with new teams and rising stars, the stage is set for a season filled with tight confrontations, strategic trades, and intense behind-the-scenes maneuvers. The clash between the Golden State Valkyries, Indiana Fever, Las Vegas Aces, and standout players like A'ja Wilson and Caitlin Clark will define the league's future. Fans can look forward to thrilling matchups and the rise of new legends as the WNBA continues to evolve. The central question remains: who will emerge victorious as the league undergoes these profound transformations? Will Kate Martin lead the Valkyries to success and become their iconic face? Can the Indiana Fever reinvent themselves and challenge the established powerhouses? And will A'ja Wilson maintain her MVP status against the rising threat of Caitlin Clark? These answers will unfold on the court, making the upcoming season one of the most exciting and pivotal in WNBA history. Here's a story you might not hear much about, but it says a lot about the state of the WNBA and the dynamics within its teams. Just recently, Fagbenle, a talented forward and seasoned international player, was released by the Indiana Fever. On paper, it might look like just another roster change, but the reasons behind her departure and the treatment she endured paint a much more complicated picture. Temi always had a strong bond with Caitlin Clark during her time with the team, but rumors have long swirled about NaLyssa Smith's alleged mistreatment of both players. Could this be the real reason behind Temi's departure? To understand the full story, we need to dig deeper into how it all unfolded. Let's start with her history. Temi Fagbenle isn't just any player. Born in Baltimore, raised in the UK, and a Harvard graduate, she's had a storied career both on and off the court. Internationally, she's represented Great Britain with distinction, even leading her national team to historic finishes in European competition. In the WNBA, she's been a reliable presence, known for her versatility, defense, and ability to contribute in key moments. She's played for the Minnesota Lynx in the past, where she won a championship in 2017 and brought that same winning mentality to the Fever. So why was she released? Officially, the team cited roster constraints and the need to focus on rebuilding around younger talent. The Fever have been in a long, frustrating rebuild phase, and Fagbenle's veteran status likely made her a target. But there's more to it. According to reports, her relationship with the team had been strained for months, partly because of tensions with younger star NaLyssa Smith. Now, NaLyssa Smith is one of the Fever's rising stars. Drafted second overall in 2022, she has quickly become a key player for the franchise. But according to insiders, Smith didn't exactly make Fagbenle's time on the team easy. Sources close to the team have alleged instances where Smith undermined Fagbenle during practices, criticized her play openly, and even made dismissive comments about her veteran leadership. While Smith's star power has certainly helped the Fever on the court, it's clear her influence off the court may have contributed to Fagbenle's release. Fagbenle, for her part, has remained professional throughout the situation. In her limited statements, she's expressed gratitude for her time with the Fever and her teammates, but those who followed her career know that she's never been one to cause drama or create division. The fact that she found herself pushed out of the team says more about the Fever's internal dynamics than it does about her abilities or attitude. The bigger question here is whether the Fever made the right call. By letting go of a veteran like Fagbenle, they're doubling down on their youth movement. But at what cost? Veteran players like her bring leadership, stability, and experience, qualities that are often undervalued in a league like the WNBA, which already struggles with retaining its stars and fostering strong team cultures. As for Fagbenle's future, it's uncertain. She has plenty of options overseas, where she's already proven herself as a top player in Europe, and there's no doubt she'll continue to thrive. But her exit from the Fever is a stark reminder of the challenges faced by veteran players in the WNBA, especially when team dynamics and internal politics come into play. In the end, the release of Temi Fagbenle isn't just about roster changes. It's a story about a league still figuring out how to balance youth and experience, talent and leadership. And for Fagbenle, it's a chapter that closes with more questions than answers.
Wow. People are done with NaLyssa Smith. Traitor. Get her off the team. Adios amigos, as that guy said.
NaLyssa Smith, the star of the Indiana Fever, might actually be at the heart of the team's struggles. Hard to believe, right? You're probably thinking, wait, isn't she one of their top players? Well, get ready because we're about to dig into what's really happening with the Fever. So, what's going on with NaLyssa Smith? And why is her future with the team suddenly uncertain? We're about to dive into all the details causing a stir in the Fever's locker room. But here's the twist. It's not what you'd expect. The reasons behind this surprising situation are going to catch you off guard.
I believe truly in my heart that connected teams are winning teams. And so people who fit, players who fit the culture of the Indiana Fever and where we are and where we're moving towards.
You know something's up when a new coach starts emphasizing culture and everyone embracing their roles, right? Well, that's exactly what happened when Stephanie White took over at the Indiana Fever. Let's go back to her first press conference. It was all smiles and big ambitions, but something didn't quite add up. White kept going on about building around a core group of 3, and it felt a bit off.
Caitlin Clark, a generational player, and Aaliyah Boston, certainly when you think about back-to-back Rookie of the Years and what each of those players have done up until this point for their universities, in the game of basketball, for the women's basketball culture and community. It's unprecedented. And to be able to work with those guys and Kelsey Mitchell, who I think has weathered the storm of Indiana Fever basketball, and I felt like had the best year of her career, this year. And really, when you think about teams, you think about a core 3, right? You think about a big 3, and to be able to work with that big 3.
But wait a minute. Where does NaLyssa Smith fit into all of this? You'd expect a former number 2 overall pick to be front and center, right? But no, Smith's name didn't even come up. You might be thinking, maybe she just forgot to mention Smith. But let's be real, this is a player who was supposed to be the future of the franchise.
We want players that will fit in seamlessly with our core 3, which includes Kelsey Mitchell. We want players to fit in seamlessly with the core 3. We want players that will play a role and will embrace their role. And we want players that will fit in with the culture and the team.
The new coach kept emphasizing words like unity and commitment. Pretty subtle, right? It felt like she was sending a message without saying it outright. But White didn't stop there. She kept talking about what she wants in a player. She made a point of saying that success isn't just about individual talent. It's about a team's willingness to go to battle together every single day. Is it just me? Or does that sound like she's taking a direct shot at someone?
Because every single thing that she described wanting to build around Kelsey Mitchell, Caitlin Clark, and Aaliyah Boston is the opposite of what NaLyssa Smith is.
It gets even more interesting. White started outlining what she wants in her ideal player, and it was almost as if she was reading off an anti-NaLyssa checklist. She mentioned wanting players who can embrace their roles and fit in seamlessly with the core 3. Ouch, that's got to sting if you're Smith, right? Well, it's becoming pretty clear that White's vision for the Fever's future doesn't seem to include Smith. She's focused on building a team of players who are fully committed to each other and the franchise's long-term goals. And let's be honest, with all the drama surrounding Smith lately, it's tough to see how she fits into that picture.
To another level. You've got incredibly talented players right here in Caitlin and Aaliyah and Lexi, a team that was incredibly fun to watch, very tough to game plan against. So I'm glad I'm going to get to work with you guys, work with you ladies, instead of having to think about how to stop you.
Shaq went on Angel Reese's podcast this week and shared his billion-dollar idea for the WNBA.
In the next few minutes, you'll witness the moment that rattled women's basketball to its foundation. We have Shaq, Angel Reese, and a whole lot of uncomfortable truths to unpack.
Bro, a pretty girl dunking on the rim, I'm watching that all the time. You laughing.
My man is not turned on by no woman that's dunking.
It ain't about being turned on. It's about seeing stuff that you're not supposed to see.
Here's what's ahead. We'll reveal the exact words from Shaq that made Angel uncomfortable, showcase the statistics that support his claims, and explain why this one conversation could potentially alter the future of the WNBA. Stay tuned, because this is going to be intriguing. Shaq just dropped a truth bomb that has the entire basketball world buzzing. We're talking about a 4-time NBA champion, a Hall of Famer, and a business mogul worth over $400 million. When Shaq talks, people pay attention, and he certainly had a lot to say about the WNBA. Picture this: Shaq sitting there, calm and collected, as he discusses ways to make the WNBA more exciting. His suggestion? Lower the rims. Let's roll the first clip.
And women's beach volleyball, let's just say the net is 10. For women, it's lower just a little bit. I'm not saying lower it to 9.5, 9.6, but just 9.9.
Just so we can dunk?
Yes.
No.
No, see? And
I hate when men say that.
But listen, that's the only difference.
People always disrespect women regardless. They're always going to not give us the same value as a man. So I just don't even think that.
And that's why you got to do what you've been doing. Go take the
Yeah.
I'm telling you now, if you lower that thing to 9.999.
And what's going to happen? All right, tell me, the money going to go through the roof?
Yeah.
Not all the way down to the ground, of course, but just enough to change the game. He's suggesting lowering the rim to about 8 to 10 feet below the standard height. Why? So we can see some dunks naturally. You might think that doesn't sound too bad, but here's where it gets interesting. Sitting right across from Shaq, Angel Reese isn't on board with that idea. She fires back, making some compelling points about respecting women's basketball.
I feel like it still wouldn't be good enough. It's never good enough for a man. People always disrespect women regardless. They're always going to not give us the same value as a man. So I just don't even think that.
She then addressed the issue of people not tuning in to watch the game.
Yeah.
I'm telling you now, if you lower that thing to 9.999.
And what's going to happen? All right, tell me, the money going to go through the roof?
Yeah.
We don't even have the people don't even watch the game.
You can feel the tension rising as Angel contends that lowering the rim is outright disrespectful to female players. But Shaq wasn't finished. He delivered a real knockout punch.
We don't even have the people don't even watch the game.
Because I don't want to use the B word. Unless it's certain people playing. It's like you're watching like a high school game.
He looked Angel in the eye and compared the WNBA to high school basketball. Yes, you heard that correctly. Shaq stated, and I quote, "It's like you're watching a high school game." Can you imagine the collective gasp from WNBA players everywhere? Let's break this down for a moment. Shaq, one of the most dominant players in NBA history, just suggested that the highest level of women's professional basketball is comparable to high school boys' games. That's not merely a critique. It's a full-blown slam dunk of criticism.
Shaq, he was trying to teach Angel Reese how to make the WNBA more entertaining. So people might actually watch the product. And Shaq is qualified to do so. During his NBA career, the dude was a brilliant marketer. He knew how to be entertaining while also being dominant on the court. There was a reason that every member of the media was waiting by Shaq's locker after games. They knew he would deliver the best sound bites. They knew he would give the most entertaining interview.
You might be curious about how this will unfold. On one side, there are people agreeing with Shaq, believing he's just voicing what many have been thinking. They argue that if the WNBA wants to attract more viewers and generate more excitement, then something needs to change.
Angel Reese, just because a man is criticizing your league, it does not mean he is disrespecting women. This is the entitlement I always talk about. Angel Reese and her colleagues in the WNBA, they have this false sense of entitlement that makes them believe that they are above being criticized. Anytime they are criticized, they want to play the victim. Men don't respect women. Oh yeah?
On the flip side, there's a large group of upset fans and players who believe Shaq's comments are disrespectful and outdated, arguing that his approach is misguided.
It's been interesting because since your article dropped, I gotta say, it has got all the buzz. If you are on X, if you're on Instagram, TikTok for the young kids, you know that Caitlin Clark is the Time Athlete of the Year. How has your 24 hours been since the articles dropped?
It's been awesome, and just the reaction. Obviously, people so excited not only about women's basketball, but about women's sports, and how excited and deserving, not only myself, but just women's sports as a whole.
Caitlin Clark just became the first WNBA player to claim Time's Athlete of the Year, but not everyone is joining the celebration. It's become increasingly clear she has her share of haters, from Sheryl Swoopes, Aja Wilson, to NaLyssa Smith, Diana Taurasi, and sadly, the list doesn't end there.
Sheryl, I'll start with you. What's your reaction to Caitlin Clark winning Time Magazine Athlete of the Year?
I don't think I'm surprised. I'm curious to know who the other candidates were.
In a twist that's both startling and yet oddly predictable, Sheryl Swoopes, four-time WNBA champion and now Clark's most outspoken critic, had plenty to say about the athlete's recent win. In today's segment, we'll break down the controversy, examine the backlash, and uncover the unexpected way Clark is handling it all. While Clark had the perfect moment to fire back, she chose a different route, leaving everyone utterly speechless. Here's why her response is a masterclass in grace and leadership.
And I've grown up a huge women's sports fan, whether it was basketball, whether it was soccer, whether it was volleyball, you go down the list. Like, I grew up loving it and watching it, so it's pretty special. Like, it doesn't really feel real that I get to be here, but an amazing honor.
Imagine this: Caitlin Clark riding high after earning Time Athlete of the Year, yet not everyone's raising a glass. Enter Cheryl Swoops, former WNBA superstar turned unforeseen critic, stirring up drama on the Gills Arena podcast.
The fact that that's the very first WNBA player to ever win Time Magazine Athlete of the Year is pretty special. And my question is, like the criteria, is it based off of her performance on the court, which, yeah, she had a great year, or is it more about the impact that she had on the game this season?
Rather than praising Clark, Swoops launches into a full-on tirade, openly challenging the very standards used to grant Clark her title. "I'm trying to understand what the criteria is," she says, her voice laced with disbelief. And she doesn't stop there. Swoops rattles off a list of other contenders she believes should have earned the honor instead. The whole thing feels like a slow-motion train wreck, leaving fans and analysts alike puzzled and asking what's really at play.
This is just probably just the impact of the sport, a little bit of it's a little bit of everything, right? So,
yeah, I mean,
when you think about, you just think about athletes of this year.
Yeah.
It's her, the swimmer.
What swimmer?
For Olympics.
Katie Ledecky.
Her performance.
Shit, you
know,
can put Simone Biles back in there.
You can put her back in there. Probably LeBron from his Olympics.
As we delve further into Swoops' remarks, a pattern starts to form. This isn't her first time taking aim at Clark. When Clark shattered the NCAA scoring record, Swoops was quick to downplay it, questioning whether the accomplishment was all that remarkable given how much the game has evolved since the original milestone was set.
Put Asia Wilson in there.
That was just basketball.
So that's what I'm saying. Was it just the performance on the court, or
it's global? It's like, I think it's everything.
Yeah.
It's everything.
What about Wilson? She demands, leaving everyone listening in stunned silence. Is this just a careless slip, or is there something more simmering beneath the surface? Swoops' outburst lays bare a deeper struggle. It's not only about Clark now, it's the old guard facing off against the new era, tradition clashing with the future of women's basketball. Once the sport's leading figure, Swoops now watches from the sidelines as Clark captivates a whole new generation of fans.
It just keeps putting a light on the sport for everybody else to eat. And, sometimes, just as athletes, we are competitive by nature. And, we don't like when someone's getting something that we don't think they deserve.
The basketball world is left stunned. Swoops, once a beacon of inspiration for countless young athletes, including a young Caitlin Clark, now appears bitter and disconnected. Her remarks ignite intense debates online, with fans and players alike taking sides. Yet here's the ironic twist. While Swoops questions Clark's merit, Clark's star power only intensifies. Her record-breaking performances and swelling fan base speak volumes. The contrast is glaring. One athlete clinging to the past, the other blazing a trail into the future of women's basketball.
Well, it's been a crazy year. It's hard to think about. Like, I was basically just starting my senior year of college at this time last year. And then I graduated. I missed my college graduation, got drafted here in New York City, basically moved right to Indianapolis and basically start like a whole new chapter of your life instantly, and you don't really have much time to adjust. But lucky enough, I had a really great support system and family around, and I'm from the Midwest, so didn't take me too long, but this past year has just been amazing.
How does Clark tackle this sudden wave of criticism? Does she lash out, stoking the flames? Or does she remain poised under pressure? Her approach to this conflict won't just shape her legacy, it could help reshape the entire landscape of women's basketball. Buckle up, because Clark is about to reveal the depths of her character.
It's fun to reflect back and think about all the amazing things that I was able to accomplish and the people that I got to do it with. I think that's what's made it so special is I've had my family with me the whole time, my friends, amazing teammates, amazing coaches, and it wouldn't be possible without all of them, so just really fortunate.
Remember when we said Clark was about to show us what she's made of? Well, her response to the Time Award controversy isn't just surprising, it's genuinely groundbreaking. She's redefining what leadership looks like in women's basketball. While swoops cast doubt, Clark continues to smash records and win over fans' hearts. How does she handle the criticism? Does she shoot back? Not at all. Clark takes the high road, and that choice has everyone talking.
The number of Indiana Fever fans I saw in young girls and the way they were lighting up, I mean, you have represented something so special for the sport, but you've drawn eyes to a game that you've always grown up loving. What does that mean to you?
You know, it's kind of hard for me to wrap my head around because I'm so focused and so competitive, and I love the game. I love playing. I love being in front of the fans. But over the course of probably the last two and a half years, it's all kind of changed where, you know, it's hard to get a ticket whether we're at home or whether we're on the road.
In her Time interview, Clark doesn't merely shrug off the controversy. She faces it head on with a level of maturity that's capturing everyone's attention. Caitlin Clark's rise to stardom has been accompanied by a refreshing sense of self-awareness.
A lot of those players in the league that have been really good have been black players. This league has kind of been built on them. The more we can appreciate that, highlight that, talk about that, and then you continue to have brands and companies invest in those players that have made this league incredible, I think it's very important. I have to continue to try to change that. The more we can elevate black women, that's going to be a beautiful thing.
But Clark doesn't stop there. She makes a point of recognizing the legends who laid the groundwork for her success. And guess who she gives credit to? Cheryl Swoops herself. It's a move that proves Clark isn't just an elite talent on the court, she's a class act off it as well.
Thoughts on Caitlin Clark saying she wants to use her platform to elevate black women in the WNBA have been instrumental, obviously, in building that league to what it is. Okay.
So what's the
Clark's reply? It's more than simply rising above the fray. It's a masterclass in handling criticism with grace, transforming a potentially negative moment into something uplifting. She's not just standing up for her own achievements, she's raising the bar for the entire dialogue surrounding women's basketball.
I remember my first WNBA game, one of the best memories of my childhood, and I think very influential in wanting to be a professional basketball player, wanting to be a great person, having those people to look up to and want to be like one day. So I just try to embody that every single day, and I feel like I have good perspective on, like, basketball isn't my everything. Like, yeah, I love it, and I get to do it, and it's given me a lot of really great opportunities, but at the same time, you know, win or loss, I feel like I try to be the same person.
The contrast between Clark's approach and Swoops' remarks couldn't be more stark. While Swoops questions and criticizes, Clark chooses to celebrate and uplift. This strategy isn't just winning her new fans, it's quieting her critics in the most impactful way possible. Don't mistake Clark's kindness for weakness, though. Her words carry real weight, and her actions speak volumes. She's showing that you don't have to tear others down to elevate yourself. In fact, by paying tribute to those who came before her, Clark is securing her own legacy in basketball history.
Know how you feel or how you respond to some of those criticisms when you have to deal with something that it's really not your problem. Like, I feel like it's them looking in a mirror a little bit,
Yeah.
but it still comes down on your shoulders.
I feel like I always have had really good perspective on everything that's kind of happened in my life, whether that's been good, whether that's been bad. And then obviously coming to the WNBA, like I've said, I feel like I've earned every single thing that's happened to me over the course of my career.
As the controversy fades, one truth stands out. Clark's handling of the situation has transformed what could have been a divisive episode into a moment of unity for women's basketball. She's demonstrated that it's possible to be both a fierce competitor on the court and a gracious leader off it. But the story doesn't end here. Clark's poised response has paved the way for a much broader conversation. How will the rest of the basketball community react to this display of sportsmanship and class? Stay tuned, because the reactions are about to roll in, and they may just surprise you.
But also, I grew up a fan of this league from a very young age. Like, my favorite player was Maya Moore. Like, I know what this league was about. And like I said, like, it's only been around 25 plus years. So I know there's been so many amazing black women that have been in this league, and continuing to uplift them, I think, is very important. And that's something I'm very aware of. And like I said, like, I try to just be real and authentic and, you know, share my truth. And I think that's very easy for me. Like, I'm very comfortable in my own skin. And that's kind of been how it is my entire life.
Clark's triumph and Swoop's critique didn't just grab headlines. They sparked a wildfire of debate across the basketball landscape. Opinions are swirling at lightning speed, faster than one of Clark's signature three-pointers, and everyone wants their say. Let's break down the reactions. On Clark's side, a whole army of supporters has turned up. Fans are flooding social media with admiration for the rising star, applauding her poise under pressure and calling out Swoops for what they view as a bitter backlash. As one fan tweeted, Clark's response shows she's already a legend in the making. Swoops could learn a thing or two about sportsmanship.
And you'll never be able to make everyone happy. And someone that knows that at the age of 22, like, let's go.
I mean, I think I have good perspective on that. And like I said in the article, which turned out amazing, I thought it was great. I said, I feel like one of my best skills is just blocking things out. Like, I don't really, the only opinions I really care about are the people that I love, my teammates, my coaches, the people inside of our locker room, the people that I see every single day, and I know have my best interests at heart too.
How will all this drama shape Clark's future in the WNBA? That's the million-dollar question. Some believe the controversy might heap extra pressure on her next season. Others argue it's only adding fuel to her competitive fire, potentially setting the stage for a dominant sophomore year and maybe even an MVP run. But here's what nobody can dispute. Clark's influence is undeniable. WNBA ticket sales are soaring, and television ratings for women's college basketball have never been higher. Even viewers who've never followed the women's game are tuning in just to watch Clark play. The numbers don't lie. Clark isn't merely a player, she's a phenomenon. And she's redefining the landscape of the sport.
I'm just scratching the surface of the things I want to accomplish. And, you know, I'm 22. I'm still figuring out life. I'm still figuring out where everything's going to go. And, you know, I love basketball, and basketball has brought me so many amazing things. And that will continue to be probably my first passion and everything that I enjoy. And hopefully once basketball ends, I can still find things that I'm really passionate about and can do. Hopefully be an owner of a sports team one day, or open a restaurant. I don't know. Something fun. A little less stressful, maybe. Maybe a coffee shop or something. I don't know.
Clark's impact isn't just about one award or one controversy. It's about the future of the game. While some question the criteria behind her Time Athlete of the Year win, Clark's response, acknowledging the greats who came before her, even Cheryl Swoops, has been a masterclass in grace and leadership. Instead of firing back, she's elevating the conversation. Her style of play, highlighted by long-range shooting and raw motion, is inspiring young athletes to pick up a basketball and believe in their own potential. Fans are tuning in like never before, and ticket sales and TV ratings reflect her growing influence. Clark's authenticity off the court, making time for fans and remembering what it's like to be the kid in the crowd, resonates on a personal level. This isn't just about Clark and Swoops, It's about the entire trajectory of women's basketball. The sport stands at a crossroads, balancing respect for its legends with the rise of new stars who are redefining what's possible. Clark's story is bringing more attention, more debate, and more excitement to the WNBA. She's not merely breaking records, she's reshaping perceptions, inspiring a new generation, and turning the spotlight onto women's basketball like never before. As we watch Clark's journey unfold, it's clear the game is evolving before our eyes. Her rise signals a new era, one in which women's sports command center stage and future players dream even bigger. The sport will never be the same, and that's exactly the point. Is the WNBA racist? Some would say so, but let's discuss some facts and numbers first. By all means, this was the best year the WNBA has ever had. They set an all-time record for total television viewers, reaching 54 million people. They also set an all-time record for the number of broadcasts that hit at least 1 million viewers. The league saw its highest total attendance in more than 2 decades, with a massive 50% increase compared to last year. The All-Star Game broke new ground with a staggering 10 million fan votes, a more than 500% increase from the previous year. The Indiana Fever, the team Caitlin Clark plays for, managed to set an all-time single-season attendance record for a WNBA team. Beyond that, the league saw a 350% year-over-year growth in subscriptions to their paid streaming service. Add to that more social media engagement, more sellout crowds, more news coverage, and more merchandise sales than ever before. It's the kind of season that WNBA executives likely never imagined was possible. Now, given all these remarkable achievements, how much money do you think the WNBA made this year? How much revenue could such a groundbreaking season bring in? What kind of profit do you think they were able to achieve? Earlier in the year, there were reports suggesting that the WNBA's finances weren't looking great, and now that the final numbers are in, those estimates have proven to be pretty accurate. According to the New York Post, the WNBA lost $40 million this year. Yes, during its best season ever, the league still managed to operate at a loss of $40 million. They exceeded nearly every metric for growth and engagement, and yet failed to turn a profit. This isn't just a bad year financially, it's a pattern. The WNBA has never been profitable in its entire history, and at this point, it's difficult to see how that could ever change. It's a concept fundamentally at odds with reality, because the majority of Americans simply aren't interested in watching women's basketball. Even during a record-breaking year like this one, the numbers show that interest still isn't enough to sustain the league financially. This backdrop makes Caitlin Clark's recent interview with Time magazine particularly interesting. Time, which still exists, recently named Clark their Athlete of the Year and featured her on the cover. In the article, Clark made a statement that's simultaneously revealing and controversial. Here's the part that stands out, directly from Time magazine. "I want to say I've earned every single thing, but as a white person, there is privilege," says Clark. A lot of those players in the league that have been really good have been black players. This league has kind of been built on them. The more we can appreciate that, highlight that, talk about that, and then continue to have brands and companies invest in those players that have made this league incredible, I think it's very important. I have to continue to try to change that. The more we can elevate black women, that's going to be a beautiful thing. There are 2 things happening here. First, Clark is crediting black women with building the WNBA. Without them, she argues, the league wouldn't exist. While this might be intended as a compliment, it's a bit like praising someone for founding a business that consistently loses millions of dollars. However, even this claim isn't entirely accurate. The WNBA was built and is still financially sustained by the NBA. Without the NBA's funding and support, the WNBA wouldn't exist at all. She goes further to say that Black women deserve to be elevated and celebrated, which makes it clear why she's saying this. She's protecting her endorsements and her status in the WNBA by endorsing a narrative that aligns with modern progressive ideals. What's interesting is that Clark's words come after and during a season in which she faced relentless abuse on the court. Whether it was being knocked over, poked in the eye, or shoulder-checked, Clark was repeatedly targeted, and in some cases even taunted afterward. Yet, despite this treatment, she's out here claiming that she has privilege. As a white woman in the WNBA, her experience suggests anything but privilege. What she does have is undeniable talent. Clark set records as a rookie, including the most points, the most assists, and becoming the fastest player to reach 300 points. Her performance is the reason she's a standout, not her race. However, her willingness to embrace the narrative of privilege, even after the way she was treated on the court, raises questions about whether she's doing so out of conviction or necessity. The WNBA, for all its growth and engagement, remains a business with fundamental issues. Even in its best year, it couldn't come close to profitability. Clark's commentary highlights the league's reliance on all players, but doesn't address the underlying problem. The WNBA is asking for an audience that largely doesn't exist. The record-breaking engagement figures show progress, but they also show limits. A majority of Americans still aren't tuning in, even when the league reaches its peak. In the end, the WNBA's challenges go far beyond racial dynamics or privilege. The league's financial woes point to a deeper issue: its inability to convert interest into sustainable revenue. Caitlin Clark's remarks may spark conversations, but they don't change the reality that the WNBA is, at its core, a business struggling to justify its existence in the sports market.
And Iowa has Caitlin Clark, who's become this huge star. She's amazing, and she's getting all this attention, and some nasty press reporters are upset about it.
Did you catch what just happened? Megyn Kelly, yes, that Megyn Kelly, just made some explosive comments about the WNBA, and she's not holding back. She's calling out the league for treating Caitlin Clark like she's the enemy. Hard to believe, right? So, what exactly did Kelly say that's got the WNBA so stirred up? Her blunt remarks about Caitlin Clark have lit up the basketball world, sparking a huge reaction across the league. Kelly didn't mince words, and now her comments have everyone on edge. Let's dive into the details everyone's buzzing about.
But she came out to say her own scoring record stands despite Caitlin Clark beating it, because I guess they didn't have three-pointers when she was playing, which is just ridiculous.
Kelly didn't hold back when she criticized the WNBA for its treatment of Clark. She bluntly stated that what's happening to Clark is really that serious. Can you believe it? This isn't just some offhand comment. Kelly's words carry significant weight.
So she's getting a lot of hate from people like that. Of course, Jamel Hill has weighed in, like a lot of people taking shots at her.
You might be wondering, since when does Megyn Kelly care about basketball? And that's a fair question. She typically doesn't involve herself in sports drama. So why is she speaking out now? The reason is that what's happening to Clark is so outrageous that even Kelly felt compelled to voice her opinion.
She's been in the WNBA for 2 minutes. There's no reason to hate her other than the amount of attention she's getting and her skin color. I mean, would this be happening to a black Caitlin Clark?
No.
Getting the same amount of attention.
This is where things really heat up. Kelly revealed that some players are actively targeting Clark on the court. She's not referring to just tough defense or regular competition. She's saying that Clark is experiencing outright abuse. And get this, she claims the league is allowing it to happen. How wild is that?
And it's resulted in physical alterations on the court that don't get called as fouls, that the girls then deny were intentional. And Caitlin Clark always takes the high road. She never points the finger, but it happened again.
But Kelly didn't stop there. She linked Clark's treatment to larger issues in women's sports. You know how Clark has been in the spotlight a lot recently? Well, Kelly made a shocking statement saying that.
Many black women inside the WNBA are resentful that this white woman came in and is getting all this attention.
That's a serious accusation, and it stirred up strong reactions on all sides. Kelly isn't just referring to fouls and rough play. She's claiming there's a significant amount of racial tension simmering beneath the surface of the WNBA. She believes Clark is right in the thick of it all.
The people weren't going, Jake, because they were homophobic, racists. That's why the other girls resent Caitlyn getting attention, because she's not black.
You might be asking yourself if Kelly is correct about all this. That's the million-dollar question. One thing is certain, though. Her comments are prompting everyone to seriously examine what's really happening in the league. Kelly believes that Clark is turning the sport into something mainstream. And if that's the case, it seems not everyone is pleased about it.
These are the highest ratings in more than 10 years. And it is 100% because of Caitlyn Clark.
Those are regular NBA ratings. Like if you get a couple million people watching an NBA game, you're pretty happy as a network guy. She is the Michael Jordan. Like I know you're not a major basketball
Him,
person,
I know.
but she is the Michael Jordan of female basketball. Every single player in that league, every single coach, manager, janitor, anyone who has anything to do with that league should be bowing at the altar of this woman. She is transforming the sport into something mainstream, which is what the WNBA was set out to do, and I think it started in 1994 or 1995.
This isn't just some drama. It's a major earthquake rocking the WNBA. And believe me, we're only witnessing the initial tremors. The aftershocks from Kelly's bombshell are going to be felt for a long time.